Welcome, Baccarat Nation fans. In this video, we're going to examine the Martingale betting progression. A bet progression is how much money you bet per round. We are going to examine the risk profile associated with the Martingale, and that just means how risky it is using the Martingale to achieve your goal, or how risky it is to go bust and lose your bankroll. In the blackjack community, specifically the blackjack card counting community, there's a concept called risk of ruin, R-O-R, roar. Roar is a concept that examines how many bankroll units you need, as well as how many bankroll units you can spread to achieve your goal. Betting spread refers to spreading from betting 1 unit to 2 units to 3 units and so on. And the risk of ruin, I first heard of this concept from Blackjack Apprentice. They are a blackjack card counting company. They're at blackjackapprentice.com. I don't have any association or affiliation with them. However, they are a great training group. So if you want to learn to card count and blackjack, I highly recommend signing up with them. In their membership, they do have a risk of ruin calculator. And so when you play blackjack, there's a very specific way to play. There's a set strategy, so there's a set of rules. So with those rules, if you follow them perfectly, you're able to play a perfect game according to those rules. And so by having those rules established, if you want to find out what your risk of ruin is, you can then program in certain variables like decks of cards, how long you're going to play, etc., etc. But most importantly, you can calculate the bankroll size that you have and the number of bets that you're going to spread, and that'll calculate what your risk of ruin, of going broke, is. So to reverse engineer that, you can put in a 1% risk of ruin over, say, a 4 or 6% spread, and that will tell you what size your bankroll should be. So maybe it'll come out to you need 50,000 or 80,000 over a 4 or 6 spread at X amount of dollars for the starting unit, say $25 or $100, to give you a 1% risk of ruin. So this is a blackjack concept, risk of ruin. I have not seen this concept applied or talked about in the Baccarat community, so I'm gonna bring that concept and introduce it to the Baccarat community. And so with that, we're gonna be looking at the Excel sheet that you see on the screen to calculate some numbers to look at our risk of ruin, or as close to a risk of ruin that this Excel sheet can produce for us. The casinos, let's talk about them real quick. The way that they win in the long run is from statistics and odds. How they set their games to pay out and to win. And so they pay out at less than true odds, and that's how they win in the long run. An example of paying out at less than true odds, I'll use roulette. On a roulette wheel, there's the numbers 1 to 36, and in European roulette, there's the number 0. In American roulette, there's 0 and 00. So for American roulette, there's 38 different options, 1 to 36 plus 0 and 00. So a lot of casinos will pay out 35 to 1. So if you were to win, if you bet $1, you'll get paid out $35. Now on the wheel, there's 38 different options. So if they paid out at true odds, you should be paid out 38 to 1. But instead they pay out 35 to 1. So that $3, or the $3 that they don't pay out, that's how they're able to win in the long run. So theoretically, if a roulette wheel had even distribution of every 38 times it paid out a certain number, let's say the number 9 for this example, if you were to bet 9 just every round and it came up on the 38th time, well, you'd be paid $35 back, but you have spent 38. And so over the long run, since the casino pays out at less than true odds, they're going to win in the long run. Now in the short run, you might get lucky and that 9 will hit and you'll be paid out before the 38th round. So maybe you'll hit on the 14th round and you're only down $14 and get $35 back. So the casino, they have all these statistics and odds calculated to pay out less than true odds to win in the long run. And so at Baccarat Nation, what we're trying to do here is fight fire with fire. So I'm trying to use statistics to prove mathematically that these strategies are going to win in the long run. I like to tinker with the variables of the strategy to get above a 90% plus win rate. When I'm at a 90% plus win rate, then I feel comfortable using that strategy. And the Excel sheet in front of us, so we're gonna play with some of these different variables, and we're gonna see how the calculations come out for how much we are winning versus how much we are losing, and look at the percentage increase or decrease of what we can win or lose based off changing our goal or bankroll, or for this example, we're going to keep the bet unit the same, but we can change any of these variables. And actually, on this page, the simulation page, we can also change the number of trials. So one trial is one shoe. So for this example, we'd be running a strategy over 5,000 shoes. And just a quick update on these Excel sheets, these softwares that you're taking a look at. I have a team of developers working on them. I'm hoping to have them complete in the next couple of months. Once they are complete, I will put up a website and make these available. Also, I'm working on a website that is going to have a lot of information on the strategies that I use, so there'll be a lot of information on what I'm doing, breaking it down, and the math and the statistics behind it. So hopefully that'll be up in the next couple of months. Before those are published, if you see these videos and want me to run one of your strategies, let me know. Or if you see a feature that you include in your strategy and don't see it on here, let me know. I'll see if the programmers can get it added to it. Also, just to talk about the videos on YouTube. So the videos and articles on the website will have a lot of strategy breakdown information. Currently, the videos on YouTube, they don't have that. Right now, and that's on purpose, right now the videos on YouTube, they're just demonstrating that I have winning strategies, so it's just building a proven track record. So it's kind of the, hey, why listen to me? A lot of people are on YouTube talking about winning strategies, but I don't really see the proof or evidence of that. So I'm going to start with showing what I call continuous bankrolls. So in my videos, if you look closely at the starting and ending of the bankroll, if one round, one video ends at $999.99, the next video is going to start at that same amount, $999.99, and that's what I call a continuous bankroll. The video series will just pick up where the last video left off. So with this, you can ensure that you're going to see all the rounds, all the winning, all the losing rounds. So this is to give complete transparency. There are gambling gurus, if you want to call them that, they'll post some videos about their magic strategy, and if you pay them a couple $100, they'll reveal it to you. What I notice is that these YouTube channels or websites, they have all these winning videos, which brings the question, how many times do they lose and not post those? It's pretty simple to only post your winning videos. So with this, on this channel, you're going to see all the winning, all the losing. The strategy that I'm currently using, it should be at about a 92% win rate. On the Baccarat series, I think I'm at like a 92.5% win rate. On the Bet River series, I'm thinking I'm at like a 95% win rate. That brings up the question, well, hey, can you make the Holy Grail strategy of 100% win rate? Sure, you just got to manipulate your variables of increasing your bankroll and decreasing your goal. A very tongue-in-cheek answer is just have $1 million bankroll and have your goal to be winning 1 unit. If you're not able to achieve 1 unit win on $1 million bankroll, then you shouldn't be gambling. But with that simple system, you can assure 100% win rate. So most people do not have $1 million bankroll. So that brings me to the question: well, with the bankroll that I do have, how much should I be betting? What should my goal be? And more realistic questions to design a winning strategy for you. And so that's really what this Excel sheet is going to do. It's going to let us test different strategies, with the same goal or bankroll, and then compare strategy A to strategy B, or if we like strategy A, how do we maximize it by, increasing or decreasing our goal, or any of these variables here. And so with Baccarat Nation, we're going to be using the math and statistics to prove that we have winning strategies, ideally 90% and above, and then take those to the casino to win. But without further ado, I'm going to switch over and start to go over these Excel sheets. Okay, now I'm going to walk you through this Excel sheet. This is a Baccarat strategy simulator, or a Baccarat strategy checker. Our goal is to win $1,000. We have a $5,000 bankroll. We have, for our starting bet of 1 unit, it's $100. We're going to use a $5,000 table max. We're going to use 75 rounds per shoe. I find 75 to 80 is the norm for an 8-deck shoe. We're going to use the Martingale. And we're going to bet the same as the last round. So in other words, we're going to bet the trend or streak. And we're going to bet that until the opposite happens 3 times. So once there's 3 chops, then we're not going to bet until, actually, you know what we'll do? We're going to bet, then we're going to start betting chop, and we're going to continue to bet chop until it starts to trend 3 times in a row. And we'll use this sequence. We'll go through this 5 times. Actually, we'll add in a 6th round of that. Okay, so we won in our goal of 6,000. We started with 5,000. We reached our goal in 15 hands. That's great. If we did it again, we reached our goal in 24 hands. We reached our goal again, 14 hands. Okay, now this one, we had $23, and the next sequence in a Martingale would be you double up. 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600, next is 3200, but we don't have enough money in the bankroll, so this time we lost. We do it again, and we won. And so let's go through this chart. So we start with $5,000, and our first goal is to win 1 unit, 5,100. Right now it's set as banker for B, and this will just alternate between banker and player. And so this will give us our starting prompt. We're going to bet banker on the first round, and we're going to bet the same as the last round until we get 3 opposites, 3 chops. So first we bet banker, and the result is player, so we lose. So we lost $100. So the bankroll goes from 5,000 to 4,900. Our goal was 5,100. We did not reach our goal, so this is false. So we're going to stay at the same goal. We're going to bet the same as the last round, player, and this time it was player, so we won. So for Martingale, you double up your loss. So we lost 100. Next we bet 200, and it was a win. So the bankroll of 4,900, we add 200, so we're at 5,100. Did we reach our bankroll goal of 5,100? We did. So now we're going to start the betting sequence over again. So the next goal is to add 1 unit, 5,200. So we're going to start the Martingale over again. So we're betting the same as the last, and it was player. So we won. So we won $100. So the bankroll is 5,200. Did we achieve our bankroll goal of 5,200? We did. So now the new bankroll goal is 5,300. We bet player, the same as the last. It was player, so we won. And let's just kind of scroll down. So we're betting the same as the last until we get 3 chops in a row. So it was banker, player, banker, Oh, so here we go. Banker, player, banker. That's three chops in a row. We won the first one. We lost the second two. So once 3 chops in a row happens, the next hand we're going to start to bet the opposite, and that's shown here. So if you want to follow along with where you're at in the sequence that you're betting, your bet selection. So now we're betting the opposite. So it started to chop, banker, player, banker, so 3 chops. So now we're switching over to bet the opposite. And in this case, we bet the opposite of the last. And it was banker. So now we have 2 in a row. So now we have a little streak going. So we lost again. So we lost 100, then we doubled up, lost 200, 400, 800, 1600. A tie, we ignore. Oh no, so here we won the 1600. Now a tie we just ignore, it's a push, but after you win, then we start the Martingale over again at 1 unit, which we lost. Okay, so we can continually hit run, but we want to know how this strategy performs over a large quantity of shoes, so we don't have to hit run and tally it up. So now we're going to go to this Monte Carlo simulation. So this is going to let us test that strategy, which let's just copy the strategy. Let's input it into this. It's going to be 11 and 12. Okay, so our goal was 1,000. We have a 5,000 bankroll, $100 for 1 unit starting bet. We're going to go 5,000 for max table bet, 75 rounds. We're going to use 5,000 shoes, and then we're going to do the Martingale. We have the program sequenced in. Okay, so let's see how this performs over 5,000 shoes, or 5,000 trials. Okay, so it won 3,619 times. It won our goal of $1,000. But now also there's a good amount of times that it lost. Alright, so let's start to calculate this. First we're gonna add up all of the results, which are 5,000 results, which matches 5,000 trials. So now let's calculate the total win rate. That's going to refer to how many times we are profitable or our break even. Then we'll calculate our total profitable rounds, our total loss rounds, and let's do the big loss. Alright, so let me break these all down. So this is going to be how many times that we won or broke even. And actually for total, we didn't actually break even at all. So actually these numbers are going to be the same, which is going to be how many times we won. And we're skip the break even, even though it's 0 for this. Then we're looking at how many times we lost, which would start here. Now sometimes when you play you have a lot of small losses, and I like to, so you have a distribution on this curve of a lot of big losses, small losses in the middle, and then a good amount of small losses. We don't have that here, but the big loss, what I refer to, is we just look at the numbers up here where it's close to losing all your bankroll. So we have some numbers that are going to be the same, but let's turn these into a percentage, which is going to be this amount divided by 5,000 rounds. Okay, so let's, alright, 5K bankroll. Alright, so let's copy this data. Let's paste it over here. Let's take the absolute value. Okay, now let's turn this into a percentage. Okay, so this strategy has a 72% win rate, as well as the total profitable rounds. Now, the loss rate, big loss rate, is a 27% chance of going bust to lose your bankroll, or coming close to it with a large loss to your bankroll. Okay, so now this is where we get to have some fun. And now we're going to start to examine, how do we minimize the risk of the martingales. This is where the magic comes in. So let's increase our bankroll to 10,000. Let's run it again. So we're getting pretty similar results. Okay, this number has increased. Alright, so let's check the math. We got 5,000 results. Let's go to the total win rate, profitable, and break even, total profitable, total loss, and break loss. Okay, total loss, it should be from here, but there's no small losses, just big losses. Alright, let's turn these into a percentage. Nope, that's incorrect. This is divided by 5,000 rounds. We increased the bankroll, not the rounds. Let's take this data. Let's put it here. This is a 10K bankroll. Alright. Now let's add some 5K. 5K, 5K, let's go 10K, 10K. Let's turn these into a percentage. Let's take a look what we did here. 5K to 10K. So let's go this one minus this cell. Okay, so by increasing our bankroll from 5,000 to 10,000, we went from a win rate of 72% up to 85%. So we increased our win rate by 12.76, so 12 or 13% if you want to round up. So on the winning side, increase it by 12.76, and on the losing side of having those big losses, we decrease it by 12.76. So that's 12 on the positive and taking away 12 on the negative. So that's a difference of 24, or roughly 25% increase in minimizing risk, we'll say, just by doubling our bankroll. And for the fun of it, let's do one more. Let's increase it to $20,000 bankroll. Let's run it again. Okay, so this increased just a little bit. So if you were to double the amount of money from 10,000 to 20,000, so you're putting 20,000 at risk, what's the upside potential? Let's find out the percentage increase in wins versus losses that you get. So is it worth it to double the amount of money that you're going to risk? We're going to run another strategy after this where we're going to have different numbers here. So these 4 variables will make sense on the next strategy. Right now it's kind of a moot point without any data. I'm just going to go through the motions. Change it into a percentage. So well, we can now let me just turn to a percentage. Okay, 92% win rate, 7% loss rates. So going, let's do 10K to 20K. So this cell minus this cell. So we're going to increase the chance of winning from 85 to 92% by doubling the bankroll, so we're going to get another 7%. And we're also going to decrease the chance of losing from 14% down to 7%, so we're going to chop another 7% off the bottom. Now let's take a look at 5K to 20K. So this bankroll, or this percentage win rate minus this one. So if you're wondering what's your risk, should you bring 5K, 10K, 20K, and you want to play this strategy, well, going from a $5,000 bankroll to a $20,000 bankroll, you're going to increase your win rate by 19%. That's close to 20. You're going to decrease your losses by 19. That's 19.9. So let's call it increase your chance of winning by 20% or decrease your chance of losing by 20%. So that's a 40% swing in the statistics for you. So let's do this. Let's do a different strategy. So you may feel comfortable with a 92.28% win rate. If that's comfortable for you with the 7.72% loss rate, great, go with this strategy on a Martingale. Let's say you want to check another strategy. Let's go back down to a $5,000 bankroll. The goal is going to be the same. Let's bet the same until we have 3 opposites, until we have 3 chops. But when you have 3 chops, you don't want to bet chop. You want to sit out. You don't want to bet anything until it starts to trend again. So we're waiting until we get 2 trends in a row. And once that does, we're going to start to bet the trend. So the trend is our friend. So we're just going to stay away from betting the chop. So we're going to bet the trend the same as last until 3 chops. Once it gets choppy, we're going to sit out and we're not going to bet until it starts to trend again. And once it does start to trend, we get 2 in a row, we're going to start to bet the trend again. So really this pattern is betting the trend. We're just going to repeat that for 6 different times. We're using the Martingale betting progression over 5,000 trials and 75 rounds. Well, all these variables are the same. Alright, so it is thinking, it's taking a little bit of time. Okay, let's add some data points. Okay, we won this many times. We have a couple of small wins. Okay, now here's our small losses, and here's what I call our big losses are. So the big losses start around 3,100. Okay, so let's start to calculate the percentage win on this. So we got 5,000 results. So let's go total win rate. That's going to go profitable and break even. Total profitable, total loss, and then the big loss. Total profitable is going to be the amount of times that we won and broke even. We broke even 120 times. Total profitable is just the amount of times that we were profitable. We're going to skip out the break even. The total loss, we start losing right here. And then the big loss, we said around 3,100. Yeah, so this is where we got a little gap here. Right? Actually, it's 3,200. Okay, let's turn it into a percentage. Yeah, let's start a new. Actually, let's go. Strategy B, 5K bankroll. Let's copy our data. Let's paste it over, take the absolute value. Okay. Give some new headings, 5K, 5K. Okay, we'll turn these into a percentage. Okay, so we got a win rate of 67.5%, or a win rate, break even, and profitable. Just being profitable, take out the break even, 65%. Total loss of losing a small amount or a large amount, 32% of the time. Just the big loss of a big hit to the bankroll is 9.8, so close to 10% of the time. Alright, let's clear out these values. You know where I'm going. Now we're gonna let's double our bankroll up to 10,000 times, or a $10,000 bankroll unit. Let's run the calculations. Let's see how these numbers change. We have a good amount of big losses here. Let's see if these numbers decrease by doubling our bankroll. Okay, so the amount of times that we won, it looks pretty consistent. And we still have a good amount of small losses, but the amount of big losses has definitely decreased. So by doubling the bankroll, we had enough bankroll to play those bigger martingales. So if we got into some trouble, we had the bankroll to dig out, and we'd have less big losses. So let's look at this from a, and so that's just reading the, analyzing the data. But let's look at it from a percentage. And I'm gonna copy these, paste them back over. Alright, let's get our total win rate. Alright, so break even and profitable. Let's just get our profitable. Let's get our total loss. We start here, we lost $100. This is losing 200. This is losing all 10,000. Then let's get our big losses, which looks like those start at 6,400 versus the last time we saw around 3,200. Let's turn these into a percentage. So that number is looking pretty consistent. Alright, let's take this data. Let's paste it here. absolute values. This is 10K. Okay, let's turn this into a percentage. Okay, so the amount, let's put this data right here. Let's show from 5K to 10K. Let's see the differences. This minus this. Okay, so by doubling our bankroll from $5,000 to $10,000, the amount of times that our total win rate, profitable and break-even, less than 1%. Profitable, very similar. Actually, our total loss is less than 1%, and our total big loss is close to 6%. So we can minimize the amount we'll lose a big chunk of our bankroll by 6%. So 6%, and we'll just call this 1%, so that's a 7% swing of increasing by 1, decreasing by 6. So let's take this out, and let's run this strategy over a $20,000 bankroll. Let's take a look at the data. We have pretty consistent results here. Similar numbers here, a little less here. We still got a good amount of smaller losses, even though these are not small losses. Let's calculate this down to the percent. See what our upside is for doubling the bankroll from 10 to 20,000. Big losses actually start at the same point. Turn these into a percent. Let's format these. Alright, let's take this data. We will put this data right here. And we're gonna examine. So actually, our total. Actually, let's go from 10K to 20K equals this minus this. So actually, we won. Profitable and break even, we went down by 1%. Total profitable, we went down by 1%. And same with the loss, we increased, and the total loss. Alright, so we took 2% off the bottom, but we lost 1%. So it looks like what these results show is that it does not show a lot of upside potential or decrease in the downside going from 10 to 20,000 on this strategy. So if you're wondering how many bankroll units, how much money to bet, it looks like it's better to stop at a $10,000 bankroll than a $20,000 bankroll. And just for the fun, I'm going to run this again and see if we get different results. And let's take a look at that number, 2377. Let's keep everything the same. It's still thinking. So this time I increase it to 2451. Actually, I think that number went down 20. Or not actually. I'd have to let's run the numbers. Our total profitable. Total loss. Let's look at the big loss. Let's give this a name, 20K bankroll tape 1, 20K bankroll tape 2. And actually, if we just examine these, they're pretty similar. Let me turn these into a percentage. So 67, 68, 64, 65, 32, 31, 1.8, 1.4. Well, yeah, so these numbers are pretty, we'll stick with this first round of data. So this time we actually lost a little bit. These numbers are a little more favorable, but so it looks like this strategy, it does not make sense to go to increase from 10,000. Now the fun thing with this strategy simulator is we could, if we wanted to see how we could really, if we like this strategy, how are we going to maximize our results? Let's drop our goal down to 500, and everything else we're going to keep the same. Let's see what happens here. $3,700. Okay, you know what? Let's take these results. Let's see what happens. Let's go. Let's just call it strategy B 500 goal. So let's go. We're still at a 20K bankroll. Let's just make sure we have all 5,000 results. We do. So let's get our total win rate. So that's profitable and break even. Let's get our total profitable. Let's get our total loss. Let's get our big loss, which could take the big loss from here, but you know, let's throw this number in, and then there's a big gap. We got one here, that's 11,000, that's a big loss. Okay, yeah, we'll start up there. So the big loss is kind of subjective, as in, do you want to take any of these numbers for the big loss? But we have a pretty big gap from here to here, so we'll start the big loss here. So let's turn these into a percentage. Absolute value. 20K. Just copy and paste that. Turns into a percentage. Okay, so you know, let's compare this 20K for a goal of 1,000 to 20K goal 500. And so 500 to $1,000 goal. Let's see how much we're going to increase our risk. Alright, so if we drop our goal from 1,000 down to 500, we're going to go from a 68% win rate to a 78%, so we're going to gain 9.76. We'll just round it, call it 10% increase on the win rate. Now we're only going to decrease our total loss. We'll exclude the big loss, so our total loss on the bottom, we're going to cut out 9.76. So if we cut our goal in half, we're going to increase 10% on the win rate, and we're going to decrease our loss rate by 10%. So that's a 20% swing by cutting the goal in half. And so we could keep running different variations of if we love this strategy, we can start to optimize by looking at what should our goal be, what should our bank unit be. We can test it over a larger set of data. I'm gonna cut the video here. It's getting quite long, but just to summarize, hopefully during this strategy session on the Martingale, it opened your eyes that to increase your chances of winning or decrease your chances of losing, there's more than just bet selection of chasing the trend or betting against chop, but instead, you know, examine what your goal should be and how many bank units. I will make some more videos on the Martingale. If you have any requests on strategies to test, let me know. I will be happy to make a video on them. Thank you, and stay tuned for more.